Monday, April 13th, 2020, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So despite all the hoopla about this oil OPEC agreement between the Saudis and the Russians, the stock market is down almost 400 points right now. WTI crude is down almost 5%. Why is that? Well, because on Thursday, that story came out already that they're going to get an agreement, 10 million barrels a day. And they've rehashed it a little bit like during the trade dispute, like phase one. Oh, we're going to agree here. It's agreed, and they keep going. They're trying to play the same game with this OPEC Russia agreement to try to soup up the market, and it hasn't worked. I read the story yesterday in the FT when it came out officially that they had agreed upon the deal, and it was 9.7 million barrels. On Thursday already, the market had gone down, the oil market, and people were saying 10 million barrels is not going to be enough. We need a lot more cuts. And then I saw over Easter, like Friday or Saturday, another story in the FT saying OPEC and G20 are going to get together and cut even more. So you can see they're trying to soup things up. I don't think it's going to work. That's what's going on. I'm going to look at a few more headlines this morning and then look at where the markets are. I am a little later today. It's just past 9 a.m. So the headlines, one interesting headline I saw, and for some reason it's in the Daily Mail online blog, Daily Mail newspaper in the UK, and it says America should brace itself for 18 months of shutdowns as U.S. economy faces long, hard road to recovery from this crisis, Federal Reserve President warns. So this is Neel Kashkari from the Minneapolis Fed. He's a Goldman Sachs hack. He was picked out of Goldman Sachs in 2008 to run the TARP fund for the Fed or for the Treasury, whoever it was for. He's the president of the Minneapolis Fed, and he's an expert now, I guess, on this as well. And I think this just goes to show that the economies are not going to pick up very quickly after things go back to normal. The damage has been done. He's saying it's going to take at least 12 to 18 months to find a vaccine. Yeah, I've known this all along because I've been following this since January when it started happening over in China. And I was reading articles in the FT back maybe late January, early February, I forget now. And experts were saying that it would take 12 to 18 months to get a vaccine tested for mass use. So it's not going to be a matter of months. It's a matter of months maybe to do the testing. The same people were saying back then, so about 4 months. So I think it would take until June or July to do the testing because you need to test people to develop this vaccine. And I don't want to go into the all the theories about this crisis right now. I'm just focusing on the economic angle here. And yeah, I think our economies, unfortunately, are not going to go back to normal again. It's going to be different. We'll have to adapt. Not sure exactly what they're going to look like, but one thing I would say, a lot of small businesses, the mom and pop businesses, they're going to be gone. We're going to have a lot more centralized power in the big corporations. Maybe some very small businesses will survive, but the mid-size generational businesses, they will be gone. And that will mean less choice for the consumer, probably higher prices going forward. So I'm not surprised by this headline. I think this is, as I've said before, there's a lot of engineering in this crisis. I'm not saying there isn't a problem out there, but it's a little bit like the OPEC oil embargo and the oil crisis in the 70s. We just blame the OPEC and the Arabs for it. But if you read Lindsay Williams, The Energy Non-Crisis, they were shutting down pipelines within the United States during that time so that oil couldn't get to the eastern seaboard to make prices rise even more. And why would they do that? Well, because they wanted to prepare the world, get the petrodollar going. You needed higher prices of oil. You needed the Saudis to agree to sell their oil in a piece of paper instead of gold. So you had to make that oil higher. It was kind of like a bribe to the Saudis. And I have a feeling this is the same thing going on right now. This is to bring in a new kind of system, probably digital currencies and surveillance, microchipping, cashless society. So this is the non-crisis of the 21st century. That's the way I've seen it. I've been talking about this the last few months. That's how I see this crisis. And it seems to be evolving just pretty much like it. Here in the UK, for example, we've been in shutdown today, April 13, 2020. It's been 3 weeks. We were told that it was going to be for 3 weeks. I haven't heard anything about it ending today. And I would expect them to come out, the government to come out later on today to announce something, because if they don't, it's pretty outrageous. They just keep you locked up in your homes and don't tell you how long you're going to be there for. I think it's a pretty bad form. So that's the Fed saying it's going to be worse than people think. And I would say it's going to be even worse than the Fed thinks. Am I being negative? No, I'm being realistic. With all the uncertainty surrounding this, the banks are not going to lend to small businesses. Yeah, they're going to get all the incentive from the Federal Reserve and from the regulations, but it's not going to happen. It's going to get worse, unfortunately, not only in the US, but here in the UK as well. What else is out there? I had a comment from one of my viewers about 20 minutes ago, and he wrote, "The great corona scam running a business near you." And he says, "Death numbers from all forms of dying for England and Wales are normal this year, including corona. According to government statistics, 166,455 people died this period, January to April in 2019. That's 11,000 people dying each week. Interestingly, the government figures have been withdrawn this year owing to an error." And he says, "How convenient. Presumably, they discovered less people had died this year in total than the same period 2019. I think it's kind of like a question. And he says, "It's a scam, folks." So I thought that was very interesting comment. Douglas George, hopefully you don't mind me mentioning your name. I won't screenshot your comment. It's 9:20 a.m. The markets this morning, right now, you've got spot gold at $16.90, up about $7. The high's been $16.97, the low $16.73. I've checked the COMEX futures. I'm not sure if these prices are fairly fresh from the CME Group website, but it's showing me the June contract down about $13 to around $17.40 right now. So we still have a pretty wide spread. It's about $50, but it looks to have come down from their previous settlement. Yeah, we need to keep an eye on that. I made a video, of course, about this yesterday. Silver is down 22 cents at 15.20. The high's been 15.57, the low 15.11. The Dow future is at 23,400, down about 380 or 1.6%. S&P 500 future is down 45 or 1.64% at 2750, and the Nasdaq 100 future is down about 120, just under 1.5% at 81.32. Fiat currencies or foreign exchange, sterling up 1/3%, just below 125. Euro unchanged versus the dollar, 109.28. The dollar is down 0.4% versus the Japanese yen at 108. It's up slightly versus the Chinese yuan at 705.50. WTI crude, that's down 4.4% at 27.50. So, as I said, it's buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of action here for the oil price. Let's have a look at the bond market to finish off. The 10-year yield is up just over a basis point at 0.74%. Don't expect any kind of recovery anytime soon. Even if this crisis were to end today, the damage has been done. I spoke about this weekend as well, how the regulators are cracking down on the mortgage market in the US, and how we could see a lot of mortgage failures from May to June. And that could be quite significant for the economy. And I also think the big banks are not going to lend to the small businesses, to the consumers. They'd rather lend to the big corporations. They'd rather play the financial roulette game or the casino on Wall Street or the City of London. So yeah, brace yourself, I would say. Don't have the, how can I say, idea that things are going to go back to normal very quickly, or ever, I would say. And that's my opinion, of course. And yeah, let's keep an eye on things. Hopefully we'll hear from the UK government on how much longer we're going to be imprisoned in our own homes. I joked with my wife, we should change our address to HMP, and then the address, Her Majesty's Prison, and then the address. That's how you should address if you're going to send someone a letter now. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, BitChute, Steemit, and DTube. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.